Hey, howdy, hey, welcome to Armchair Analysts podcast. I am your host, Johnny. With me always is my balding compadre.
Ace.
I'm sorry, that was really mean.
God, I'm fuming inside. I
The
just have a
poor
bad
guy.
cowlick, right? Don't they? What do
No,
they
that's
say?
all it is, I think. That's all it is. Welcome to episode 46. This is our episode for this week. I don't know. Today's a good day. Today's a really good day. I got a half day at work.
I
Got a
hope
lot done. A
so.
lot of Christmas shopping.
Yeah,
Life is
shows
good.
it. You're in a sarcastic kind of mood.
You can tell I didn't work all day, and it just hit 5 o'clock. So, yeah, no, it's a good day. It's a good day to be alive, man. It's a good day to be alive. So,
Oh,
I guess we should just get to it. Or do you have anything cool you want to say? Anything fun?
I was gonna say I think most of Milwaukee and most of Wisconsin is on
Mm.
that 48-hour high after
Oh,
Giannis signed.
I don't know. We got a lot to
Well, I'm
talk
not.
about. We got Giannis Supermax. We got Packers in the number one spot in the NFC. It's a good day, but
God.
let's do a quick rundown of what we got going on here today. So, start off with my random rant, which is very Christmas season-y. Regional roundup, we got Giannis, Packers, Battle for Paul, Bunny, and Zach's. Ace is pointing at something randomly. We're going to talk about the Nickelodeon Wild Card telecast, which we've been excited for once they announced it when the season started. Ace was actually trying to apply for it, but unfortunately got turned down. But we'll continue to do the show at
Nope.
least. Soundbite of the week, we got kind of a juxtapose type deal. We got some highs and some lows with some Vikings kickers and head coaches. And then Giannis, his little pump-up video that he posted, which still has me all giddy inside. Tee-off topic is going to be it's going to be a little all over the place, but for the most part, we're just going to be talking about the changing landscapes in sports, the congressional proposal about revenue sharing and all that good stuff covering athletes, which, Ace covered. He broke the story long ago, but you even said, we'll give you a pat on the back, a little round of applause. You said it was going to be a big deal, and it's
LA.
it's gaining traction like crazy right now. Yeah, of course, I had to start in Cali.
I think even prior to episodes ago, I had mentioned LeBron was a big proponent of this because his son is entering like either 8th or ninth grade. I think high school.
Yeah.
So this was huge This started
Well,
out
he's
in
got to
LA
take care of
and
his own, right?
Florida.
He's taking care of China. Why not take care of some people in the U.S., right?
I mean,
I did.
yeah, they had to, well, no, they had to keep their mouths quiet over some Hong Kong controversy.
But
we can't get into
so
that.
we got that coming up, and then we also have the NFL owners for voting this week. They kept delaying it because Robert Kraft is a tool to expand the season to 17 games and then remove 2 preseason games. So then we'll wrap it up with Ace's Quick Six, which probably isn't prepared, but we'll see. We'll find out. I'm just kidding.
Was Kraft in court hearing? Did Kraft have court hearing?
Oh,
Why-
no,
why-
he
why
didn't.
was-
He didn't see his girl. He didn't see his girl. But if you're not already, please give us a follow on Twitter at a podcast. We are having some fun. We actually bought the domain. We got the website in the works. It's coming out in January for y'all's.
Yeah.
Check us out on YouTube. Got beautiful faces. I have a possible corporate sponsorship shirt on, so I'm trying to get some free advertising in for them right
me
now.
too. Surly.
And then, and wherever you find your favorite podcast, we are on that. Download us, rate us, review us, share us with some friends. It's always good stuff, and we appreciate it. So I think it's random rant time, huh?
Yes, sir. Take
Sorry,
it away.
I had to take a breath.
Continue, I should say.
Right? Let me take a breath. So I did a lot of Christmas shopping today, and I work more in customer support-ish, but customer service is my rant today. So we're doing a lot of different things online. We're having a lot of things that we're going into stores and purchasing too for the holidays, and customer service is difficult for everybody. Like people, you have to be a special kind of person to be able to do customer support, customer service, and I think this is like the most trying time. Like COVID in general was probably really trying, and but now that we've gotten that, well, now it's the holiday season on top of that, so people are just really stressed out. People are they're doing their best, and maybe you do get an a-hole. Maybe you do get someone that just doesn't care about you and just wants to get through the day and get their paycheck. But I feel from my experiences and throughout my life, I feel like this time of year in particular is very difficult for people, working in the service industry and that kind of stuff. So just like a general PSA, just have an open mind. People are, this is a really tough time to be, serving people and stuff. So I think just, give them a break. And I think it's also a time too to kind of reflect on, good customer service and customer support that you've gotten. Like if you have something, you're on hold and then the person, they finally get to you and they take care of you and they're very polite, cordial, and all that kind of stuff like that. I feel like that's pretty undervalued. I mean, because a lot of people, they're just like, oh, whatever, you treat you like a number, you just get them in, get them out. But just I don't know, having that human aspect, like realizing, hey, I mean, I'm trying to get to a goal. Your job is to help me get to that goal. Let's work together and accomplish that. So, I just think the holidays is a good time just to kind of remember that, But
I think especially as people are laid off too, you're like the wealth gap could not be more apparent. So having respect and courtesy now is more important than ever because people, you have no clue what kind of moods they're in and what they're carrying, unfortunately.
Well, that's the thing too. You don't know what people are going through. People are going through some shit. They could have gotten a horrible car wreck and had to Uber to work in the morning. Like, you have no idea what someone could be going through. So just a little perspective is all. That's all I'm asking. That's it. That's all. All right. I know that you've been teaming with this, and I trolled you a little bit earlier in the week in our group chat, but I need you to tell me what the hell is going on with Dan Bailey.
We're gonna already.
We're getting into the regional part of our show, and I want you to start off low so I can bring you up. Okay.
Okay. I don't want to kill the whole soundbite of the week, but Mike Zimmer was not too high on Bailey. Let's just say he still hasn't committed to him for this weekend, which makes me a little nervous because I think here's the thing: I think he's one of the more accurate kickers in the league right now, and frankly, I don't trust anybody else they can bring in because they have to pass protocol. So it's like you only can bring in what's on your roster right now, I think, if you're thinking of it, unless they were proactive. And I don't think I know they released a kicker. I don't think they brought in any other kickers within the last.
I was going to say, who would even be behind him? Who else would you bring in?
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's like without having that foresight, keep them. And my buddy sent me a good article that they wrote up in the Star Trib. Ryan Longwell, of all people, this guy interviewed. Yeah, Ryan Longwell, the guy interviewed, and he commented on this. He said he watched his performance in this game, and he said it's all mechanics, more or less. He thinks what he thinks is fixable, or he said what he thinks is correctable is it's fixable.
See, people say that about your golf game, but they're just being nice to you, Ace. Come on. Also, short story time. I actually met Ryan Longwell once. Which it's the weirdest story, and you know what? We're a little bit light on content, so I'm just gonna go with it. If that's okay with you.
No, that just means it's more depth to it. Come on,
there's more depth. And plus, he played for both the Packers and the Vikings, so it's super topical. So I was bartending at a country club, and apparently one of the groups that was on the course had him in there, and he was on the tee sheet. I'm like, that's not right. I didn't even think of it, and I did. It wasn't even that day. I saw it on the tee sheet earlier when they booked it, and then that day came and went. It was super busy, didn't even think about it. They're in there gambling, drinking, not to say that Ryan was, but his group was, because of course he's a saint. But yeah, they were playing, and then they ended up just getting shithoused. But he still had to do a charity event in the morning, so he no one could drive in his group, and so he was trying to find a way to get back downtown. We're about 20 minutes north of Milwaukee at the time, and so I'm like, hey, like I'm already heading down there. I live down there. Like, I don't mind taking you. And he's like, yeah, sure, it sounds great. So he hops in my car. And I'm pretty sure it took me almost half the drive to realize who he was. Because I was just like talking about like school, because I was still in school at the time. And I'm just going through whatever. And then he's like, oh yeah, well, with my, all of my time with the Packers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and so kickers are the most unassuming people ever, right? Like, you look like just regular guys. Like, you'd never pick them out of a lineup. And so I'm like, what are you, like a journalist? Like a media guy? Like, what were you doing? And I wasn't really sure. I didn't say that aloud. And all of a sudden I'm like, because then he was talking about going across the Mississippi to Minnesota. I'm like, This is Ryan Long. Yeah, and then I just tried to refrain from gushing. And it was really cool. And then like the whole second half, I was just like, oh, the Packers. And I dropped it at the beautiful Intercontinental Hotel downtown. And that was that. No autograph, but it's a cool personal story. Huh?
Pre-Lyft and Uber too. No ride apps at that point.
It wasn't. No, we were in the suburbs. Like they weren't gonna come up there, not back then. So that's my Ryan Longwell story. But yeah, I got to meet him. Nice dude. But again, it's a kicker. Like you would never And and now that he had a scruff on him, and he was always clean shaven, so like I definitely couldn't recognize him. But wow, that was a tangent.
I want to slightly compare this also to a current kicker of the Packers, Crosby, back in, was it 2018, that the Lions game when he missed like four.
No,
four
that was
field goals
before then. That was a few years ago. But he's had an incentivized contract develop since then. So now it's like you make X amount from this hash or from this yard mark, you make this percentage, you get this incremental bonus. So if you make 80%, you get this much. You make, and then like different year. And then I think there's other stuff in there too that are smaller. But yeah, it was all performance based for the most part, which honestly most contracts should be. I don't know why they're not. You got Kirk Cousins over there, the 100% guaranteed for whatever reason, but we digress.
Come on, we're gonna talk about that later in the quick six. Don't act like I ain't prepared.
So Vikings going to Tampa, and almost the exact same thing that happened to the Packers. They just get mollywopped by that defense, and man. And
you're right. We spent like 5 minutes on a kicker. I didn't even get to explain the fact that he blew the game for us.
No. Had he hit every kick an extra point, you still would have lost by 2. So don't give me that BS. It's on the kicker.
That's right.
Get a calculator, do some math.
The penalties absolutely screwed us, though. That pass interference on Gronk, everybody's seen that. I think people have seen the Mike Evans slip in the end zone that Gladney actually picked off, that they called a penalty on Gladney.
Dude, you guys went to the NFC Championship game because a player tackled another teammate for the Minneapolis Miracle. So please don't complain about the refs, okay?
Okay, but the Saints, we can say the same thing.
Refs are in every game. You can't blame the referee. If you blame the officiating, your team didn't deserve to win. I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, okay, think about this. You don't get those 3 points at the end of the half. The game, we win if Bailey makes, well, whatever. Bailey.
I can do the math if you want, Ace. I can put it up on the video right now.
You're right. It was
plus 10, you're still losing by 2.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing. Okay, let's just talk real quick. What do you think, like Tampa Bay? They're a fringe playoff contender for trying to get sneak into the wild card now. But I mean, Packers are terrified. The Vikings couldn't do anything to them. Granted, they probably wouldn't be in Tampa Bay as a wild card, but then
the one advantage is Brady. Brady knows any defense better than Cousins. So it's like, if you're, not to get into betting, but if you wanted to bet on the game, go with that. I trust Brady to win you a game more than Cousins. So
that's diehard analysis right there.
More
experienced quarterback, pick him.
No, but the fact that he can read the defenses, and maybe the offensive line is as good. I'd even say the Vikings probably have a better offensive line, but it kind of depends.
Yeah, but you don't have. That's hard though. I mean, I feel like offensively they're pretty close. I mean, Cook more than makes up for the tight end differential.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that little Ronnie's not that bad, but yeah. No, it was an interesting game. It was an interesting game. It's going to be interesting how the NFC shakes out, because all the teams have looked really weak lately. Like the Packers dropping somehow to the Vikings, almost losing to the Jaguars the right after, losing in Indy in a tough overtime loss, but then they've looked pretty good. They've had a few rebound games, but I mean, then you got the Seahawks dropping to Danny Dimes. No, they lost to the backup, Colt McCoy.
Oh my God!
Yeah. And then last week the Saints dropping it.
Cardinals. Oh yeah, the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints lost to the Eagles. So it's like the NFC just looks so weak. But
people lost a lot of money taking Arizona on the over on wins. I think, which was a
Pat McAfee has taught me one thing: never bet on AZ. Not for the spread. Never. Always fade them. Great team, fun to watch, but no, never bet on the Arizona Cardinals. I will second that. Let's keep her moving here. So, like I mentioned, the Packers take the number 1 seed in the NFC because they have the tiebreak over the Saints. That's awesome. That's fantastic. But we can both agree that home field's not the same as it is in most seasons, right? It's nice. It's not.
Because weather, I mean, you can't really say weather's a difference.
Weather, I know how much people used to say in the past, but unless it's like blizzard conditions, like it's...
Yep.
If it's really cold, I mean, they don't care. They're out there with no sleeves anyway. Like it doesn't matter. Snow and turf, like snow on the field, maybe a little bit, but not really. So it's exciting. I mean, the bye is cool. Make sure everyone's healthy and good to go. An extra week to game plan, but I mean, overall, if they get the 2nd or 3rd seed, it's not. I don't know. And honestly, going into Nolans, letting Rodgers play in the dome, I'd take that for sure. He loves
This
domes.
reminds me, like, Roll Tide. This reminds me of like Alabama, or like Alabama's trying to copy this program in a way where it's like just churn out the same ho hum. Oh, we win 10, 11, 12. Oh,
Yeah, except they get
I'm just
championships
jealous.
though.
I'm just envious of this. Because, like, yeah, I mean, you know what? You guys are expected to go to the championship for sure. And I
Yeah,
mean,
like
yeah, that
last
it's
year, sweet
pressure.
dude.
I mean, yeah, it's pressure, but at the same
Yeah.
time, you guys aren't really I wouldn't say you're the favorites this year either, too, which makes you
For
dangerous.
NFC, meh.
Well,
That's fine. And
oh,
you
yeah,
know, I love when we fly under the radar, so that's perfectly fine by me.
I know. I didn't want to say that, but I kind of walked into it,
All right.
so
We beat that horse to death. So I know that there's
regional roundup.
The Big Ten for football. It's been an absolute crapshoot. We do have one thing to look forward to, Ace. We have one thing to look forward to.
Yeah.
This Saturday, 3 p.m. Battle for the Axe, baby. Minnesota
Oh my God,
and the Golden Gophers.
Fresh off our 19 players signed, baby. Well, I don't. They didn't all sign the national letter of intent, so technically not all 19 might actually stay committed. But yeah, I don't know how this game is going to go. Remember, we're without our star receiver Bateman. He opted out for the entire year. We
smart move in retrospect. Very smart move.
We've played better after him. I mean, we beat Nebraska 24-17, I think, last weekend, which is a bright win. But honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think the Badgers sadly have a bounce back. It just seems like
if there was a game to do it, it has to be this. But it's just so meaningless. Like this is like our championship. This is like our baby Big Ten championship.
Yeah, there's no like gusto. There's no.
Well, okay. After the Indiana game, Indiana game, and then Iowa back to back. I have not seen a more uninspired Badger team since I've been drawing breath. So, I have low expectations. I think it'll be fun because this is probably the best we're gonna get this year. But Badger basketball is rolling, but like the whole 10's doing well, so it's still early. But as soon as football ends, we'll definitely chat more about that. But yeah,
because they're still in the. Speaking of basketball, the Gophers are still, and I think Badgers are still playing. Like a preseason. They're not in Big Ten play yet.
Nope. So they're, but I mean, at the same time, like that's the sport that I know is not going to get. They might get a couple games like postponed, but like they're not going to have multiple games like postponed or canceled. So I have faith that season's going to stay intact.
I think hockey might be a little bit different because I think there's more players. No, there might be the same amount of roster players because there's a larger roster size on a college team than NBA.
Yeah.
For like college basketball, so they can make a bubble work. So I think you're right. I think something like that is
well, and you got to remember all of like the March Madness games are played, off-site anyway. They're played at neutral sites anyway. So.
Yep, hotels. They're already used to that.
So I think they got to be already in the works because as soon as March Madness was canceled last year, 2020 just wasn't going well for anybody. All right, so this is something that we talked about when it was first announced many moons ago. The Nickelodeon Wild Card telecast, which it's gonna be super memey. They're gonna have slime in the end zone. SpongeBob and Patrick are gonna do touchdown celebrations. It's gonna be. They're gonna have like Snapchat filters on the players. Like it's gonna be goofy and silly, but there's two things that I want to see. I just want to see a different kind of coverage as far as the telecast, just like a different vibe as opposed to, Joe and Buck just, for lack of better terms, sucking each other off.
Joe and Buck.
Oh, Joe and Troy just sucking each other. So aside from that, but I mostly just want to see all the mileage the internet gets with all the memes like SpongeBob, Patrick. Like, there's a lot of good stuff. You put like whoever is playing, you're gonna have like a weird Snapchat like googly eye filter on them. Like that would be interesting. But I think that'll be cool. I will not watch the whole thing. I don't even know if I'll have to stream Nickelodeon, but it'd be interesting. I'm excited. I know that we didn't get the job like we wanted, but hopefully they'll check out this podcast.
CBS. Says on-field graphics. Are they going to tap into CBS's broadcast though?
They're all separate. There's all separate. So there's going to be it's a separate broadcast.
Okay, sweet.
So they're going to segment the audience, but like the kids aren't going to be watching that anyway. If anything, they're just trying to get a new audience. So It'll be cool.
I'm totally for, 100% totally
You're
for.
in? I
Maybe
just love
for a quarter.
SpongeBob. Who doesn't love SpongeBob?
Yeah, as long as like I could imagine like during the fourth quarter it could get a little distracting if you're trying to if they like are incorporating
Okay,
crap
this
on
it's
the
2 minute.
field.
It's 2 minute drill. Let's go. Enough with the
All right,
slime. Let's
Joe.
go.
Okay, Joe and Bach. Let's see what
Oh, look
they
at you.
let's
You're
see
gonna
what
get some mileage out of that. All right. So, being the technical and videographer guru that you are, you were able to juxtapose a nice dual soundbite. We'll start out with the downs, and then we'll bring it up. And I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna play it. They're gonna be back to back, and Ace did this very quickly, so it's I don't know.
Well, I
The
alluded to it
mixing it
earlier
could use
too.
some. I'm just kidding. All right, let's check
Mike
it out.
Zimmer.
Let's check it out.
Mike, when it's something as sensitive as a kicker, where it could be a confidence thing, because it doesn't look like it's an injury thing, how careful does a coach have to play it in the situation now that it's stretched 2 games?
Yeah, at this point in time, it's we're not really worried about feelings anymore.
This is the place I want to be. This is my home. This is my city. I want to represent Milwaukee. I wanted to be here. I want to be here. I want to help my teammates. I want to help this organization win a championship.
So the editing, we'll work on that. But it was put together very quickly. But it's a really cool contrast of, the low that you can be. Like I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's nothing worse than being a kicker that's either in a slump or you just missed the game-winning kick. Like there is no remorse. No one gives a shit about your feelings. Zimmer literally said it's not about feelings.
It's clearly I think it's worse than a closer too in baseball because they feel more of the team, I think, than a kicker sometimes.
Not only that, but like you get a lot more opportunities as a reliever.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, true.
You're going to get maybe 4, maybe 5-ish chances a football season to win a game. Sorry, I'm thinking of teams that win games well, not teams that have to cover at the last second like the Vikings. But no, that was me. But you get what I'm saying though. Like it's the scale is so much different. You have such a smaller sample size, a less of a shot to prove yourself. Ryan Longwell. There's been a few kickers in Vikings history that have had some issues, and you know what? The thing is, at least it's not the playoffs, right? It's not the playoffs. Yeah. This could have been a game that you lost because because of the kicker.
I'm hoping he plays, and I'm hoping this. I'd rather this shake him up.
Yeah, get a fire under his ass. Yeah.
So
for sure.
Correct.
And then you have
up.
You go from that low point, get raised to the pinnacle, to the Mecca. We barely talk about it on the show because I was so in denial. After seeing some of the rumors and some of the signings and tradings that have been happening, I was like, oh my gosh, they're not going to do it. But now, you get Giannis on the Supermax, you get 6 years to make some stuff happen. People are going to be a lot more attracted to Milwaukee because he's going to be there long term. Drew is actually going to most likely get an extension now, so we'll actually be able to form around that core. It's not a real big three, but we got a big three, Holiday, Middleton, and Antetokounmpo. So, and then obviously you start dipping into the luxury tax after a bit here. So it's mostly a lot of veteran contracts after that to round out the roster.
And I think people are. I know one of your friends is high on Bogdanovic. I think he's gonna have a good year. He's a pretty lethal guy. And then they got DiVincenzo, who they consider kind of a poor man's version of him. So if those guys can basically play their role and even to some degree almost elevate a little bit, you think when you play with a superstar, you naturally elevate your game, right? So you would think that these guys take the next step.
Not Eric Bledsoe. Not Eric Bledsoe. Also, I don't want to be the one to dampen your thought train there, but that trade didn't go through. That's why DiVincenzo's still with the team.
Duh, yeah.
So,
okay, that makes sense.
But again, though, it's still I would take keeping Giannis over literally anything, and that's why last year getting dipped out at the end of the year by the Heat like that was really sad, and they were 100% gonna lose, and just why are you watching this? My fiance was like, why are you watching this? And I was like, well, might be the last time you see Giannis, because with all the trades, you never know. It would take him on that deal and to sign him to a Supermax, to put him at the Lakers, put him to the. I know a lot of Warriors fans were trolling about it, but I mean,
yep.
It's. I'm just gonna say I can sleep a lot easier at night. But yeah, that's the big news, man. That's the big news. The other big news that we're going to talk about for the tee-off topic is how things are getting shaken up, some changing landscapes in the sporting world. Ace, do you want to cover? I mean, we already gave you a pat on the back and the round of applause on this congressional proposal.
Earlier?
So yeah, why don't you dive into that a little bit for us?
Okay, so I'm coming in a little cold because frankly, this was sort of not breaking news, but sort of news. So I haven't had a chance to fully read up on anything too substantial. But if what I'm gathering is that they are going to be paying student athletes, so there is an avenue for scholarship availability, a set number of scholarships each year, revenue streams generated, all of those. And when I say revenue streams, I'm assuming that this means when players go, if they volunteer at um, camps or clinics or doing stuff like that, hosting clinics, they're getting paid for it. I mean, I don't know if you can fill in the specifics there, but I think overall, if the whole idea is to get to a point where we realize that social media has turned into a branding platform, so these players can profit on their own.
Yeah.
The colleges are going to tap into that. That's what I think this is opening it up for, is that the colleges ultimately know that these players could go overseas if they have a big enough brand, i.e. LaMelo Ball, and survive for a year, right?
Ball brand.
Right? And but think of having LaMelo here, right? Think of LaMelo playing in college. Would you not hear about that crap every day on ESPN?
No, it might,
you would.
It might
right?
break up the LeBron coverage a little bit, so that's nice. But
Sure. But I think this is
I get
really
you.
going to open up the avenue for all those types of things, because if you look at the landscape, I said this a little bit ago, but like social media and your brand, it's like exponentially. Like that crap grows exponentially when you have that presence when you can bring a strong presence to your university, and the colleges know that they want to tap into it.
And I think it's kind of gotten a little bit more all-inclusive, if you will, compared to what we initially were reading, because it was initially just compensation. They never really specified what. And now we're seeing guaranteed lifetime scholarships. That was another thing too. Like, well, technically you don't have to be in school. You don't have to graduate. You just have to be there, just kind of dip your toe in, and then you can hop into the draft. Now
So
the
you can
guaranteed
come back.
lifetime scholarships, the covering athletes' medical costs, which pretty sure they already did that.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
Yeah, I thought with the university. Well, I guess with the university.
So they're kind of getting like a nice buffer. So like, you know what? Like, you do well by the school, you pull a Zion, you do your one and done. You know what? We'll make sure if God forbid something happens to him, come back, get a free education. You know, obviously they're gonna have to go over the finer points, but I mean, this is big, and this is kind of the first way of like legitimizing NCAA. Like, what's my longest running joke? That the NCAA is a non-profit organization. Yeah. It's ridiculous. They're not a religion, NCAA. Like, and the thing is, just the way they police everything too. Like, this is a nice way to kind of add the check and balance. Like, you know what? You guys are making money hand over fist. It's time. Like, not that I want to. You know, the worst thing you can do to give like an 18, 19-year-old, you know, millions of dollars, but they're already getting that under the table anyway, so you might as well regulate it and make sure that, you know, nothing bad happens to them. So and hopefully they can put like some sort of financial planning institute with this. Like, hey, you know what? You can sign all the autographs and all the shoes that you want, but you know what? We're gonna at least do some financial planning with you. Just to, I mean, most of them will probably still.
I think they're getting into a slippery slope too, though. If they're going to get to the point where they want to try to represent them like agents, where it's like, nope, you're going to go to this event and talk for whatever, and we're going to, you know, taxi you over here and over there. But
that's part of the game, though, right? Like that's part of it. If you want to be a brand, and you want to be compensated, you have to play by their rules. But I don't think that it's nothing that the kids probably wouldn't have already at least considered, if not already done. Like, I don't think they're gonna. Obviously, someone's gonna ruin this for everybody. I'm down the road pretty soon once this gets put in place. But at least on the surface, it seems pretty innocent.
Johnny Football, I think, ruined it anyway.
Johnny Football ruined everything.
Yeah.
Talk about ruining a news cycle on ESPN. Jeez.
Oh God, yeah, no kidding.
At least Baker can throw a football. Like,
what is the medical expense, like the medical benefits forever too, similar to?
It's not like a president. Like, you can't have unlimited benefits. I'm assuming it's while you're enrolled, but I mean, how would that not already be covered though? I guess that's kind of something we might have to peek into. But So the other part of this was that the NFL owners were talking about, and they talked about this last offseason too. It was kind of brought to the, the round table of the owners and, expanding the season, which obviously that's going to alter record. Like we were talking about before, how the record book's been changed because we're in a really pass heavy league. It's like passing touchdowns, passing yards, completions, all that kind of crazy stuff is inflated. And now it's like, okay, well, remember when it was 14-game season? It's obviously a lot easier to accumulate yardage, touchdowns, and other records with extra games. Then you add another one. I mean, it's just gonna change. It's just gonna change a lot of stuff. But I think the players are more for it. It gives a little more flexibility. God forbid if something like this happens again. When you have to shuffle schedules around, and they're gonna be removing 2 preseason games, which who doesn't want to see that? I don't know.
So
I was always against preseason games for the most part. I mean, especially after Jordy, had the non-contact ACL injury in preseason. But
yeah,
after not having one, it's like I never got to see Jordan Love. I never got to see how Rashawn Gary was coming along. You don't get to see the other rookies. You definitely don't get to see any of the new signings at all. So it's that's not so great.
I think your fandom really is evident in this regard because I sometimes jokingly consider myself more of a bandwagon fan. So like I'll kind of follow tidbits of news, whatever, and then maybe dive into certain topics. But you're really on top of following the sports teams, especially the Packers, Badgers. And so it's like, yeah, that clearly is of importance. Whereas like maybe me, I wouldn't care as much to see. I would have loved to have seen, like, I would have probably watched Jefferson this year, honestly, in preseason. Like, that's the thing is like the average fan is still going to peak at those games, especially with the top players getting picked.
Yeah.
Like Trevor Lawrence, they'll be able to sell that game. Justin Fields, some of these other top end talent. And so I think you're right. Where I think having games makes sense. And speaking of revenue, I mean, the NFL, just go from one nonprofit to a for-profit, whatever. The NFL clearly wants more games regular season if they can.
Yeah, but the preseason games don't really. Those are all hosted by local networks, though. Those aren't like nationally or regionally. True. Like they're very very localized, and they're actually. I'm trying to remember, like it's not like It's not that bad, but the production quality is much different because it's not like Fox is covering the game. It's going to be like your local news channel sending out a crew. Like we had like John Kuhn and like a couple other people like went out, but they were covering preseason. And they would typically do like their own version, I guess, of the regional roundup. Like they would do their own like Packer highlights and before the game and after the game on their own separate network. So it's a little bit different, but I think 2 or 3 is good. 4 seems really excessive, but like you got to remember how like the roster's like double the size after like the draft and after the undrafted free agent period, right? So you're trying to prune a roster down from like 100 to 52 plus a practice squad. So
I think having them not in the spotlight almost hurt them to reduce roster spots because I think when you're playing live action or when you're live action against a different opponent, it's another feeling to actually grade a player versus intra squad. I don't know, though. Who knows?
All righty. Well, I think it's time.
Yes.
The greatest segment of the show. Let's see what you got, Ace.
Thank you. I know it's close. Week 15 prop bets. Johnny scrubbed the floor with me. I don't really feel the need to swear. Scrubbed the floor with me last week. 4-2, you beat me. Me on that last one, I was confident. The over by a half a point in the first quarter actually bit me in the ass. They scored 0 in the first quarter, the Vikings.
Not a first half team. We talk about this every week.
28-25 right now. Week 15. All right, we're going to do Bears Vikings. I'm not confident on this game. This is a game we have to win, though, I will say. If we don't, we don't. Trubisky's better than Cousins. Whatever, I said it.
Oh, shit. He's not going to be a Bear next year.
This one's yours. Time of first score is over under 7 minutes. So just the first score. No, doesn't matter the team.
It doesn't have to be a touchdown, just first score?
Correct,
Under, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
a good. I honestly, I won't even flip a coin for that game. I'm not touching it. I'm not even putting any fantasy players in it if I can help it.
Really?
Because I don't know. I don't know what to expect. The Vikings are great.
Oh.
The Vikings are amazing at the bank, but Nagy's literally fighting for his job right now. So,
And
as is Trubisky.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I'm
two.
nervous. But I'm confident that the first score of the game, number 2, is a touchdown. I don't know why. I just feel like either of these teams can game plan a good opening drive. I'm eating my words because the Vikings literally whatever. I'm gonna say the touchdown scored on the opening drive by one of the teams, or
All right.
first score of the game, I should say, is a touchdown. Number 3, both teams score over 19 and a half.
No. No.
No? Oh,
No.
I
No.
might have.
Vikings 17.
Ooh, okay. So
that is contingent on Hicks being back, which I was told by my
and Khalil Mack is questionable too now.
Mac's
So
really not been that big of a factor this year.
Hicks should be back though. Hicks should
Yeah.
be back. But all right, number 4, Minnesota total field goals. I had to do this. Over under 1.5.
It's fantastic.
I'm gonna go with over. You have the next one, number 5, Minnesota total extra points,
Oh!
over under 1.5.
All right,
And that's
so
what I made up. I feel like that's actually pretty accurate though.
it's topical. This is the content that people come to listen to. You're gonna troll the crap out of Dan Bailey, and then you're gonna do prop bets on him.
Yeah.
Extra points. Yeah, they get 2. I'll say over.
Oh, shoot. Okay. And then the last one for me, who wins? Vikings 1-13 or Bears 1-13. I figured just those 2 options because it would be fairly close. I got to go Vikings, obviously. I mean, could I have picked anything else? I think it's going to be a close game, so I'm going to pick them to win this effort. But I am nervous. I'm not going to lie. Like, this makes me nervous. All right.
He's perspiring, everybody. We got to wrap up the show. Also, can you show us your shirt? We're all very proud that you actually own Minnesota gear now. Go Twins.
Woo!
Go Twins. Good job, Ace. Christmas time has come. Sorry, Hanukkah has come. That was his first gift, so we're all very excited. Well, that is episode 46. Thank you guys for listening. As I mentioned before, if you're not already, please give us a follow on Twitter at AA Podcast. Wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, give us a follow and check us out. We're also on YouTube. You can check out our handsome faces. Ace shaved today, maybe. No, probably not. We don't care how you guys listen as long as you do. Have a great week. Happy holidays. Safe shopping and be nice to people. We are out.